Anthony Edwards needs to be stopped. A 6'5", 220-pound high flyer with a deep bag, defensive awareness, and an unrelenting style of scoring the basketball, that's a kind of package that is rare in today's NBA. In fact, each and every NBA team right now is looking to find that kind of talent. But before the historic season Anthony Edwards is putting together right now, he was already catching the eyes and ears of all-time great NBA players. Even the great Dwayne Wade felt that this could potentially even pass him up one day, given just how special of a talent he is, saying, "I definitely think he can be a better player than I was. He has all the tools." And after we saw Anthony Edwards this past summer rise above all his peers on Team USA, he proved himself as the most skilled player on a roster filled with potential superstars despite being the second youngest player on the team. And so far in this young 2024 NBA season, he is showing us exactly what we all expected, that this would be his best season yet. Anthony Edwards is getting ready to hit another dimension, now in his fourth NBA season. Looking back throughout NBA history, a number of the game's legends have had their first crowning moment hit them during their fourth season. There is something about the number 4 in NBA history that has a special ring to it. See, in his fourth NBA season, LeBron James averaged a career high in points and took a cast of role players all the way to his first NBA Finals at just 22 years old. In Kobe Bryant's fourth season, he too made his first ever NBA Finals appearance while averaging a then career high in points. And in Michael Jordan's fourth season, MJ won his first MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year award, and skyrocketed his scoring average to 35 a game. But speaking of Michael Jordan, there's something about Ant-Man that we've seen before in MJ. While Ant-Man clearly has a ways to go before even sniffing the same realm as Michael Jordan, Ant-Man and MJ have insanely similar movement. Watch how Ant-Man, like MJ, gets into spots, how he uses his upper body combined with his athleticism to bounce off defenders so he can get an open look at the basket. And how about the other side of the ball? Watch how Ant-Man gets into his defensive stance. Doesn't it look eerily similar to the way Michael Jordan sized up his opponent? But undoubtedly, it's Ant-Man's use of the mid-range and his acrobatics that remind us the most of Michael Jordan. While many guys in the NBA are working tirelessly to mimic MJ's game, Anthony Edwards has the game come to him naturally, and it's so beautiful to watch. But then again, talent and mimicking your role models can only take you so far. In Ant-Man's case, his progression in each of his first 3 seasons is exactly what we saw from a lot of the players who went down as among the best to ever do it. At just 22 years old and coming off his 3rd season in the NBA, Ant-Man has seen his scoring average rise each season up to nearly 25 points per game this past regular season. He's improved his outside shot each season of his young career, going from just 29% in his only season at Georgia up to an above-average 37% in year 3 in the NBA. So far in this ongoing 2024 season, Ant-Man is posting his highest averages across the board. From career-high shooting splits to averaging his career high in points, what we are seeing from this 22-year-old is only a sign of things to come. And we can't forget the other side of the ball either, because he took his defense up another level in 2023, finishing in the top 15 in defensive win shares, using his 7-foot wingspan and elite athleticism to give guys some serious problems on offense. And probably best of all, along with the production and the mindset of a true number 1 in today's NBA, he's been impressively durable, only missing 23 games in total thus far in his career. Given his above-the-rim playstyle and high-flying game, that is a great sign. But there's one thing that's kind of held Edwards back in his career. Sure, what's not to like about Ant-Man? He has always been a top-tier talent in the NBA. But the thing is that a lot of it has gone unnoticed because the Timberwolves have been a notoriously struggling franchise that has been one of the worst teams in the NBA for quite some time now. In fact, in the last 19 years, the Timberwolves have the least wins out of any NBA franchise with just 573 wins. which is considerably fewer than the next least winningest team in the line and the Sacramento Kings, who have 609 wins during that same period. But that might change in short order, as the Timberwolves sit atop the Western Conference standings with a 14-4 at the time of me recording this video. But the biggest reason for the Timberwolves finally playing up to their level is because of what they're getting from their leader. He scored a bunch of points in the NBA, he's made an All-Star game, he's gotten some recognition to be put in the thick of the NBA's best 25 and under conversation. And now, anytime a young player knows he has the tools to go from very good to great, you'll see that switch flip in their mindset. It's not that the Wolves added a bunch of talent over the summer. Instead, it's Anthony Edwards' alpha personality and mentality that's been the reason for not only his breakout season, but also the Wolves as a team. And speaking of the summer, this past summer was a huge time for Anthony Edwards. During the 2023 FIBA games, we really saw this shift in mindset for Ant-Man. Remember when he took issue with the coaches asking him to come off the bench? The moment Anthony Edwards had with Steve Kerr took a turn when Kerr wanted Ant-Man to lead the second unit off the bench to give Team USA that elite firepower with their second team, because that would surely give Team USA another dimension that no other team could offer. See, the plan sounded like a good one, but this stage for Anthony Edwards was different. He's still young. It was his first time on a stage of this magnitude. He's wearing red, white, and blue, repping his country. He wanted not only to showcase himself, he wanted to be the man and put himself under the spotlight. Because remember, he wasn't getting that spotlight to shine in Minnesota because no one was paying attention. So when Steve Kerr tried convincing Edwards to take the bench role and told him how D-Wade willingly came off the bench after Kobe, he shrugged, played it off, and said, well, sure, but we don't have a Kobe on this team. And even if there was one, Ant-Man probably felt that he could be that level player. There's something to be said about a young player that's cut from that cloth, someone who has it in his DNA to accept himself as nothing less than an alpha male who has the loudest confidence and the complete belief in himself. A quality that we haven't seen much in a player since Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Look around the NBA and tell me how many guys came into the NBA shouldering heavy expectations. How many players have we seen in just the last decade that were touted as the next big thing with all-world talent, but never quite lived up to their potential? And how often does it have to do with a player lacking the poise mentally? Stop thinking, because I'll answer that for you. It almost always has everything to do with it. A number of guys come to mind who fall under this category, but I'll just name the ones that stand out the most. Zion Williamson. Outside of his constant injuries, what has been the biggest knock on him? It has been people calling into question how hard he works and his commitment to the game of basketball, whether he seriously works out and actually wants to become the superstar he clearly has the capabilities to become. And then there's Ben Simmons, a guy who played at an ultra-elite level and had the tools to become great, but his biggest detriment was ultimately himself with his self-doubts, his mental struggles, and his unwillingness to improve after his early success in the NBA. When the lights got brighter, Ben shrunk under the pressure of people waiting on him to improve his shot. The point is, every guy in the NBA is skilled. Heck, even the last guy on a team's bench who plays mop-up minutes. Even he'd walk over the average person in a game of one-on-one. But if it were just up to your skill level, everyone in the NBA would be a good or great player. But clearly, that's not how things work in sports. But with a guy in Anthony Edwards who not only is skilled, moves like a young Michael Jordan, and plays both ends of the court with intense passion, it's his big mentality that is truly unlocking his ultimate potential, which we are watching unfold in front of our very eyes. Seeing his impressive growth and development over his first 3 seasons in the NBA, and seeing the urgency he has to follow in the footsteps of some of the all-time greatest players, how can we not look at the guy and expect nothing but great things to come? It sounds like a guy who is ready to make the leap. At 22 years old and still being a few years out from the peak of his prime, Anthony Edwards is the next superstar in line and is poised to take off into another dimension this season. If the Timberwolves continue their recent winning ways, seeing Ant-Man on the game's biggest stage like the NBA playoffs won't just give us a glimpse into his future, it'll be the ultimate crowning moment when he inevitably takes over under the brightest, hottest spotlight. He's only tapping his huge potential, and that's a scary thing for the rest of the NBA. With career highs across the board and with several huge performances already this season, what are your predictions for Ant-Man in 2024? MVP?